Dangerous sport, man.
You were saying it's scarier than what you did to your leg.
It's way scarier than what I did to my knee, because you know that the knee's just going to be all right, whereas your eye, still don't know how it's going to be. I'll find this, I can't see. We'll try. Right, this has been fight day. It's now the next day. About what time is it? 3:36 AM. Got some Oreos. We still got something positive there. And yeah, we're just waiting for further results. We've got to do some more tests in the UK as well. So we're flying back tomorrow and
Today.
And we'll go from there. I'm not sure when. I'm ready to let everyone know what's going on. So thanks for the support though, appreciate it.
Yeah. If he stay here, I need to see him again on Monday.
Yeah.
If he doesn't stay here, then he must see somebody after 2 days. Okay?
Yeah, we can go see him.
Are you glad he stopped the fight as well?
Huh?
It's good that he stopped the fight.
Yeah. Of course. You should stop the fight until you are good again and until you cleared from ophthalmology department from our side. After not for this visit, after the second visit, after make sure everything coming back to normal, the vision, I think everything. Okay?
Okay.
But we didn't find anything dangerous.
Okay.
If your eye gets swollen and it gets shut, or if your nose gets clogged and you can't breathe, that you're kind of used to these things. Tom said something, and look, we got to dwell on a guy in a really bad moment, but to dwell on him, he said, I got poked in the eye, I can't see. If you got poked in the eye and you're injured, we have a totally different conversation. If you get poked in the eye and you can't see, generally in our sport, that's just something you've got to push through.
I'm not saying it's Tom's fault, and I'm not gonna, pretend that I know how bad it is or isn't. I think Chael made a poetic point that you have to be used to or willing to fight with one eye. I did it in Singapore. You never say I can't see if you want to continue to fight.
The eye poke, it was a bad eye poke. It really was. It was a double eye poke, and it went really, really deep into his eyes. And Tom was clearly emotional, upset.
Human beings, our natural reaction when somebody comes towards us is to open my hands and stick my hands out. When I throw a body kick, when you learn Muay Thai and you throw kicks, they don't teach you to throw them like this. They teach you to open your hands, you throw your hand, you put your hands in front of your opponent's face to block them, and then you throw like this, boom.
UFC 321 came to a close with a main event no one saw coming. The heavyweight title bout between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane ended prematurely after an accidental double eye poke stopped the action in the opening round. What began as a fast-paced, explosive matchup quickly turned into disappointment as officials were forced to call it a no contest.
Je suis un peu déçu de l'issue du combat, forcément, pour plusieurs choses, par rapport à tout ce qu'on a pu mettre en œuvre, par rapport à tous les engagements, par rapport aussi à la physionomie du combat, par rapport au futur. C'est vraiment pas très satisfaisant comme issue.
Dana White describes the Tom Aspinall vs. Cyril Gane ending as an unfortunate turn in what was shaping up to be a great fight. He says both heavyweights looked impressive early on, showing the potential for a memorable matchup. White credits Gane for bouncing back strong after the John Jones loss and admits that running the fight back is the logical next step once Aspinall heals, even though the situation is disappointing for everyone.
Give us your reaction to the eye poke and how it went out.
I mean, I feel the way everybody feels. Great showing, ending. I think that after the Jones fight, a lot of people wrote Cyril Gane off. He looked damn good tonight.
Yeah, what did you think about the fight on its way to the eye poke? What did you take from those 4 minutes?
Good. Looked like we were in for a few rounds, and it was going to be a good fight.
It would seem obvious that a rematch is right on the cards. Would you like to just rebook these guys as soon as Tom is able to get back in there?
Yeah, total pain in the but yes.
Cyril Gane shares his disappointment about how the fight ended, offering apologies to Tom Aspinall, the fans, and everyone who expected more from the main event. He admits feeling let down himself, wishing the contest had continued fairly rather than being stopped by an unfortunate accident. Cyril Gane said, "I'm very sorry about that for the crowd, for the fans, for everybody. I'm sorry for Tom Aspinall, I'm sorry for myself." Tom Aspinall appeared visibly upset after the abrupt ending to his UFC 321 fight, reacting to the crowd's boos with frustration. He explained that the eye poke badly affected his vision, making it impossible to go on. Disappointed by how things unfolded, he expressed anger that the bout was just beginning to heat up before being stopped by the foul. Tom Aspinall said, "Guys, I just got poked knuckle deep in the eyeball. What the Why are you booing? What am I supposed to do about it? I didn't do the poke. I can't see. This is The fight was just getting going. Complete and I'm off. Cyril Gane also admits the result left him disappointed, believing the fight's ending didn't match the effort and preparation he and his team invested. He feels the outcome failed to show the progress he hoped to display in his career. For now, he says he'll rely on his manager, team, and the UFC to handle what comes next while he stays focused on preparing for future opportunities.
Je suis un peu déçu de l'issue du combat, forcément, pour plusieurs choses, par rapport à tout ce qu'on a pu mettre en œuvre, par rapport à tous les engagements, par rapport aussi à la physionomie du combat, par rapport au futur. C'est vraiment pas très satisfaisant comme issue. Donc non, maintenant, le futur, moi je le connais pas encore, c'est mon manager. Je fais confiance à mon manager, à ma team et à l'UFC. C'est eux qui discutent entre eux. Moi je suis juste un combattant.
Daniel Cormier shared his reaction in describing spotting Tom Aspinall backstage after the fight, with his right eye heavily wrapped and unable to open. He explains that while the right eye showed visible scrapping, the left eye suffered a deeper poke. Cormier notes that the injuries on both sides looked painful and made it clear just how serious the eye damage was. Daniel Cormier said, "I saw Tom Aspinall, his right eye is covered in bandage because he cannot open it." Still, we're 20 minutes past the fight ending, and what's crazy about that is his other eye was the one where the hand went knuckle deep. The right side was scrapped down more. The left side was the one that went knuckle deep and really would have been hard to deal with if not for the swelling seen on the other side. Daniel Cormier mentions that Tom Aspinall was clearly frustrated by the crowd's reaction after the fight ended. He says fans initially booed Tom, thinking he quit, but once the replay showed what really happened, their perspective changed, and the boos shifted towards Cyril Gane instead. Daniel Cormier said Tom was very upset that people were booing, but then people saw the replay and were like, wait a minute, maybe we should be booing the other guy. Then they booed Cyril. On the other hand, Chael Sonnen thinks Tom Aspinall should have continued fighting despite the eye poke from Cyril Gane. He believes that dealing with such adversity comes with being a champion and that fighting through difficult moments is something expected at the highest level.
Being poked in the eye is illegal, Brendan, but to fight with one eye is very common. The opponent's trying to hit your eye, he's trying to bust up and make your nose bleed. So that part of it does have question for guys like Anthony and I. We're trying to be polite, we're trying to show grace, but in all fairness, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, you got to fight with one eye at times.
Chael Sonnen said the fight seemed to be more difficult for Tom Aspinall than he might have expected. He mentioned that Tom's success had come easily, with most of his wins ending in the first round, meaning he'd never really faced adversity or been pushed into later rounds. Sonnen noted that the way Tom reacted after the eye poke, keeping the ice pressed to his eye and talking quietly with his corner, he made it clear that he had mentally checked out. In Sonnen's view, it looked like a fighter who knew he was done.
I thought that the fight was turning out to be a little bit harder than perhaps Tom had expected. I had one concern with Tom, and this is not his fault, it's because he's so doggone good, but the reality is he finished 6 guys in the first round. He's never been to a third round of a fight, just for example. So the question is, how are you going to respond when things get tough? But there was something about the way that the story was being told, the way that it was being held on the eye and never removed. I mean, don't forget, this cloth that he had in his eye contained an ice cube. This wasn't some kind of a magic cloth that was going to cure a cornea or something that was wrong with your eye or even take swelling away. It contained an ice cube. Right. And it was just being held on there oddly. Then there was conversations that were taking place. There was a story that was being told, and I've checked out of fights before. Yeah. I know what it looks like, and I knew that he was...
Anthony Smith also felt disappointed with how the fight ended, explaining that he wanted to see Tom Aspinall tested in deeper waters. He was curious to find out how Tom would react if his game plan didn't work, whether he'd switch to wrestling or keep trading shots with Cyril Gane over multiple rounds. Instead, the quick ending left him unsatisfied, just like the audience hoping to see more.
No, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed. I talked all day yesterday. Like, I just want to see Tom have to overcome some adversity. I want to see what he does when when his first plan of action doesn't work. What's he checked down to? Is he gonna wrestle? Can he compete with Cyril Gane on his feet for 25 minutes? And I don't get any of those answers, and just like everybody at home, I'm disappointed.
Demetrius Johnson also comes to Cyril Gane's defense after the eye poke against Tom Aspinall, explaining that open hands are a natural instinct in MMA. He says fighters naturally extend their hands when opponents move in, often to manage distance or defend. Referring to Muay Thai, Johnson notes that even with gloves, it's common to keep the hands open while throwing kicks as part of proper technique. He believes the foul was purely accidental, and that Gane's hand placement was technically correct despite the unfortunate result.
Once again, it's MMA. If somebody's coming at me and I go like this, it's my hands coming out. It's a natural reaction. It's a natural reaction. That's one thing people don't understand. Like, when you do Muay Thai, when you kick, you need your hands out. Even in the gloves, when I throw a kick, my hands are open inside the gloves. You know, I love how people are like, oh, there's so many eye pokes in MMA. Guys, my hands are open. And people don't understand. They always talk about, when are we gonna fix eye pokes in mixed martial arts? Newsflash, you're never gonna do it. The reason why is because as human beings, our natural reaction when somebody comes towards us is to open my hands and stick my hands out. When I throw a body kick, when you learn Muay Thai and you throw kicks, and obviously the accident foul was an accident, right? But the way he had his hands on Tom Aspinall's face is the correct technique to do. It just wasn't in his hands, right?
Demetrius Johnson highlights that eye pokes have long been part of MMA, mentioning that even top fighters like John Jones often extend their hands during exchanges. He explains that when throwing body or leg kicks, it's natural for fighters to keep their hands open, which makes accidental pokes difficult to prevent. Johnson believes the problem can't be completely solved unless MMA gloves are redesigned to resemble boxing gloves, limiting finger extension altogether.
If you go back and watch John Jones, he's a great eye poker, but if you go back and watch the greats who do body kick, if you go back and watch my fights, when I throw body kicks or I throw leg kicks, my hands are here, they're open. So once again, you're never going to fix eye pokes in mixed martial arts unless you put us in gloves that are like in actual like boxing gloves.
On the other hand, Michael Bisping shared his thoughts in the main event, saying it was shaping up to be an incredible fight before the sudden ending. He pointed out that both Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall started strong, exchanging powerful strikes early. Gane looked sharp and managed to damage Aspinall's nose, while Tom responded well with effective leg kicks. Bisping also noted that Gane's footwork and takedown defense were impressive, and the fight seemed to be heading toward a thrilling title clash before the unfortunate stoppage.
Right, so obviously the main event ended in a fashion that nobody wants to see. It was a tremendous fight. Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall were going toe-to-toe, and it was shaping up to be a tremendous title fight. It really was. And we were going to see Tom Aspinall taken out of the first round. You know, a lot of people online are talking a lot of saying that he quit. The reality is, Cyril was looking good. He damaged Tom, he busted the nose up early. They both landed some shots. Tom landed a really good low kick. Cyril was looking smooth. Cyril defended the takedowns. Talking of takedowns, the taking down the octagon right here.
Michael Bisping further commented on the incident, calling the eye poke particularly severe and pointing out that both of Tom Aspinall's eyes were impacted. He said Tom was clearly emotional and frustrated, especially after spending so much time waiting for this opportunity following the delays with John Jones and his interim title defense. Bisping emphasized that Tom's health should be the top priority, and if the injury turns out to be minor, he hopes the UFC rebooks the matchup as soon as possible.
The eye poke, it was a bad eye poke, it really was. It was a double eye poke, and it went really, really deep into his eyes. And Tom was clearly emotional, upset. And I get it, you know, there's been a lot of time waiting for this moment. You know, he had the whole fiasco with John Jones, he defended the interim belt and all that stuff, and then he gets back in the octagon eventually, and then that happens. First and foremost, I just hope he's okay. That's the main thing. And if he is okay, which I think he will be, maybe he's got a scratched cornea, maybe he'll be fine in a few days. But they got to run it back. They got to run it back ASAP. Right, hold on.
Meanwhile, Sean O'Malley expressed sympathy for Tom Aspinall after the eye poke ended the fight, saying the incident robbed him of a major moment. He thought a win could have set Tom up for a massive showdown with John Jones and brought fresh excitement to the heavyweight division. O'Malley reflected on how uncertain the division now feels, noting that both John Jones and Alex Pereira seem uninterested in fighting Aspinall. He admitted the situation creates more confusion than clarity about what the next step will be.
What could have been if Tom Aspinall goes out there and wins? What happens to his career after that? That's the John Jones potential fight at the White House. Like, there's so much that Tom missed out on because of that. It's super unfortunate, sad, and it would have made the heavyweight division it would have made it a lot more fun. I mean, the whole division's been so crazy with John Jones. You know, he defended an interim belt, Tom Aspinall. It's like, what do you, I mean, John Jones is done. Alex Pereira, he's probably not moving up to heavyweight. Like, you just rematch that fight. You know, the crowd was insanely loud, so it was like, I guess it was a big fight, but do you watch it again? Do you make that fight again? John doesn't want to fight Tom. Alex doesn't want to fight Tom. Man, yeah, I don't even know what you do with with that fight. I think Dana said he's going to make a rematch.
On the other hand, when there is a lot of debate emerging about the gloves and eye pokes incidents in UFC, Jim Miller's statement now makes more sense. Back in February, the veteran insisted the most eye pokes happen intentionally rather than because of the gloves. Drawing from his years of experience, he explains that the gear doesn't force fighters' fingers open, the issue comes from how they react in exchanges. Miller believes strict action is the solution, calling for instant point deductions and fines from a fighter's purse to end the problem quickly.
You want to know a secret? I've got hours inside the octagon wearing these gloves. It's not the gloves. Look, I can close my fist. I can bend the ends of my fingers without the glove even moving. So if it was the glove that held my hand open, I could still go like that. But like most of these eye pokes, it's like that. My hand's not getting held open like that. Are you kidding me? What causes the eye pokes is that little bitch inside that's like being passive and avoiding the fight and not being aggressive. And that little voice needs to get punished by an immediate point being taken away, and in my opinion, a portion of the purse. And then I think you would see him stop real quick, because it's not the gloves.
Meanwhile, Dylan Dennis takes a jab at Tom Aspinall after the UFC 321 incident, joking that the eye poke revealed how a potential fight with Jon Jones might have ended. Using his trademark sarcasm, Dennis implies the result would have been similar, sparking mixed reactions across social media. Dylan Dennis said, "Well, at least we know how Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall would have ended." However, Bilal Muhammad criticizes Cyril Gane for the accidental foul, saying he doesn't and shouldn't be upset about clearly catching Tom Aspinall in the eye. He advises Gane to be more mindful of his hand positioning and keep his fingers together to prevent similar incidents. Bilal Muhammad said, "Gane can't be mad, you clearly poked him, learn to keep your hands closed." MMA Guru also bashed Cyril Gane for the eye poke and Tom Aspinall. Calling it one of the nastiest in a long time. He slammed Gane for raking both of his fingers into Aspinall's eyes during the opening round and said, "Fighters need to learn to keep their fingers to themselves." MMA Guru said, "People are going to talk about that, but keep your fingers to yourself." Cyril Gane, what the are you doing? Raking both fingers in both eyes at once in round 1 and pushing them further into the eyes of Tom Aspinall? Nastiest eye pokes in a while. That wraps up today's video. What did you think about the eye poke incident? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more MMA updates and reactions.